Imagine standing on an open plain 13,000 years ago. In front of you is an animal the size of a small house. It has curved tusks longer than your body, legs like tree trunks, and enough muscle to crush a person without even trying. Now imagine that the creature is gone. Not just that one animal, but almost its entire kind. Mammoths, giant ground sloths, huge bison, woolly rhinos, giant kangaroos, and elephant-sized birds. For millions of years, animals like these ruled the earth. Then, in a surprisingly short window of time, many of them vanished. And the strangest part is this. One of the main suspects was not a volcano, not an asteroid, and not some giant predator with claws. It was us. Ancient humans. Small bodies, soft skin, weak teeth. No metal, no guns, no engines. Just stone, fire, language, and a brain that could turn almost any landscape into a trap. So how did ancient humans wipe out giant animals? The answer is not as simple as people running around with spears until every mammoth was gone. It was slower, smarter, and more frightening. Humans did not have to defeat giant animals in one great battle. They only had to become a pressure the natural world had never faced before. To understand this, you have to picture the world before the extinctions. It was a world of giants. In North America, mammoths and mastodons moved through grasslands and forests. In South America, giant ground sloths stood taller than a person. In Australia, there were giant kangaroos and huge flightless birds. Across Eurasia, woolly rhinos survived brutal cold. These were not weak creatures. They had survived ice ages, droughts, predators, and huge changes in climate. But they had one problem. They evolved in worlds where danger was predictable. A lion attacks with teeth. A wolf pack chases. A drought comes. But humans were different. Humans could watch. Humans could remember. Humans could tell others what happened. And then humans could come back with a better plan. That may have been the first real human weapon. Not the spear, but the idea. A spear can hurt one animal. An idea can be shared with an entire group. If one hunter learned where mammoths crossed a river, the whole band could know. If one person discovered that a wounded animal slowed near mud, that knowledge became strategy. It became culture. And culture improves. A claw does not become sharper because a tiger thought about it. A tusk does not redesign itself after one failed charge. But a human tool can change after every hunt. A better stone point, a stronger shaft, a new ambush, a new way to drive animals toward cliffs or narrow passages. Over generations, humans were not just hunting. They were learning how to hunt better. Still, one human against a mammoth would be almost helpless. That is why the second weapon was cooperation. Ancient humans were not lone heroes. They were groups, families, bands, people who knew each other's signals. One person could scare an animal from one side, another could wait ahead. Others could block a path, throw spears, or use fire and smoke. A giant animal might be stronger than every person in the group, but it was not smarter than the group itself. A mammoth had muscle, humans had coordination. Nature had seen predators before, but rarely predators that could hold a meeting. The third weapon was distance. Many animals are dangerous because they force you to get close. Teeth and horns work best when the enemy is within reach. But humans became masters of attacking from outside the safest distance. Even a simple wooden spear changes the rules. Add a sharpened stone point, and the rules change again. Add throwing skill and a group of hunters, and a giant animal that once feared only other giants now has to fear something much smaller. A wound did not need to kill instantly. It only needed to slow the animal down. A limp could make migration harder. Blood loss could weaken it over hours. If hunters kept following, its strength could turn against it. This is why endurance mattered so much. Humans are not the fastest animals. But we are strange animals. We sweat. We can walk for long distances. We can carry water and tools. We can track prints, broken branches, and movement across a landscape. An animal might sprint away and seem safe, but humans could keep appearing again. Over the next hill, near the river, at the edge of the trees. Imagine being prey hunted not by speed but by persistence. Something that does not give up. Something that sleeps, wakes up, reads the ground, and follows again. That kind of predator does not need to be stronger, it only needs time. Then came fire. Fire is usually described as warmth and cooked food. But fire also made humans ecosystem engineers. With fire, people could change the land around them. They could burn grass, clear brush, drive animals, create open spaces, and make some places easier to hunt. Not every ancient fire was planned destruction, but over thousands of years, repeated burning could alter habitats. A species that depended on a certain plant, forest edge, or migration route might suddenly find its world changing. Humans were not only killing animals. In some places, they may have been changing the stage on which those animals had to live. So why did giant animals not simply recover? Because large animals have a hidden weakness, they reproduce slowly. A mouse can have many babies very quickly. A giant animal cannot. Many large mammals take years to mature, have one baby at a time, and invest heavily in each offspring. That strategy works when the world is stable. It fails when a new predator starts removing adults year after year. Especially breeding adults. You do not need to kill every animal. You only need to kill slightly more than the population can replace. At first, nothing looks dramatic. There are still herds, tracks, babies, and giants on the horizon. But the numbers are bending downward. A few less mothers, a few fewer calves, a few more failed seasons. Then, after generations, the collapse becomes visible. By the time humans notice that the giants are rare, it may already be too late. This makes extinction difficult to imagine. We picture the last mammoth falling in a final dramatic hunt. But extinction usually looks quieter than that. It looks like empty spaces where animals used to gather. It looks like fewer tracks after winter. It looks like old hunters saying there used to be more. It looks like one valley losing its herd, then another. The world does not end all at once. It goes silent piece by piece. And this pattern appears again and again. When humans reached new lands, many large animals disappeared after. Australia lost many of its giant species. The Americas lost mammoths, mastodons, giant ground sloths, ancient horses, camels, and other large animals. Islands were even more vulnerable, because animals there often evolved without fear of humans and had nowhere to escape. In many cases, the timing is suspicious. Humans arrive, the pressure changes, the giants decline. But science is careful here, because the truth is not always simple. Climate was changing too. The end of the Ice Age transformed the planet. Temperatures shifted, ice melted, rainfall changed, forests expanded or shrank, grasslands moved, food sources changed. Some animals were already under stress before humans became a major factor. So the real story is probably not humans versus climate. It may be humans plus climate. Climate weakened the giants, humans pushed them further. A population can survive bad climate with enough space. It can survive some hunting if the environment is stable. But combine habitat change, slow reproduction, fire, hunting, and a predator that learns, and the odds get worse quickly. This is why humans were so different from earlier predators. A saber-toothed cat was terrifying, but it did not invent new weapons. A pack of wolves was dangerous, but it did not set fires to reshape a valley. A crocodile could ambush almost anything, but it did not teach its grandchildren a better hunting method with stories around a fire. Humans turned memory into technology, cooperation into power, and landscapes into hunting grounds. As they spread, their impact spread too. This does not mean ancient humans were evil. They were not thinking about extinction or future museums. They were hungry. They needed meat, fat, hides, bones, tools, shelter, and safety. A mammoth was not a symbol to them. It was food for many people. It was warmth. It was survival. To humans, hunting a giant animal was victory. To the animal, it was the arrival of a predator that never stopped improving. That is the unsettling lesson. The first great human impact may have happened long before cities, roads, factories, electricity, or modern pollution. Humans were already changing the living world, not because they were modern, but because they were human, intelligent, social, restless, expanding, always learning. So how did ancient humans wipe out giant animals? Not by being stronger than them, not by killing them all in one moment, and not always by acting alone. They did it through pressure, through tools, through fire, through cooperation, through hunting just enough, in enough places, for enough generations, that giants could not recover. The monsters of the ancient world did not lose to bigger monsters. They lost to small creatures who could imagine tomorrow, remember yesterday, and teach what worked. The most dangerous animal on Earth was never the largest one. It was the one that could make a plan.